Hi there. I'm glad to welcome you to my channel, World of Stories. I have a lot of interesting life stories that I want to share with you. Enjoy listening.
Going back home, Pamela? Kevin smiled. He was a fellow passenger in the compartment. Yes, back home, Pamela replied with a hint of light sadness in her voice. And why are you feeling sad? Please forgive me if I'm prying into your business. But I think it's easier to open up to a random fellow traveler. If you want, you can tell me what happened to you. And you'll see, you'll feel better right away. Pamela looked at the unfamiliar man in surprise. Don't doubt that, he explained with a smile. Consider this. We've been in the same compartment for almost a day. So, we're not complete strangers. In a few hours, we'll get off the train and go our separate ways forever. Maybe you're right. You know, I'm heading back home, but it feels like I have nothing and nobody. No home, no relatives. Kevin was thoroughly puzzled by the girl's words. It's not entirely clear. Do you live in a communal apartment? He attempted to decipher the riddle. It's not about that, Pamela shook her head and smiled sadly. The problem is with those around me. You see, when I was little, I seriously considered myself a Cinderella. I had a stepmother, stepbrother, and stepsister too. And the saddest part, an equally silent, spineless father. Every evening before bed, I would dream that one day a prince would come for me and take me to his fairy tale. The girl adjusted a strand of her blonde hair, wiping away a tear discreetly. Don't be ashamed. There's nothing embarrassing about tears. Actually, crying can make you feel better, the guy said seriously. And in the capital, what were you doing? If you don't mind sharing, of course. No, wait, don't answer. I'll try to guess. Like many provincial girls, you probably decided that you could definitely conquer our hospitable capital. Did I guess right? No, you didn't guess right. Unlike those, as you put it, many provincial girls, I genuinely understand the situation and know where I belong, Pamela said with a sad smile. I studied, spent 3 years in Washington, completed my medical degree, and now I'm heading back. Well, don't be disheartened. You're young, beautiful. You have your whole life ahead of you. Besides, I have no doubt that your prince will surely find you, and your destiny will work out for the best. Why are we only talking about me? Pamela tried to change the conversation topic. Why did you come to our small town? Well, my story is much duller and more commonplace than yours, Kevin explained. A 3-day business trip. Unexpectedly, the compartment door swung open and the conductor reminded them that they would be arriving soon. The young people concluded their dialogue and hurriedly prepared to disembark. Good luck, Pamela, and don't be sad. Kevin waved as a farewell when they stood on the platform. Thank you. And to you, she smiled. The tram during rush hour was very crowded, but Pamela had no choice. Just like she didn't have the money for a taxi. When she had almost crossed the entire city on the tram, she finally reached home and was very surprised. Instead of the usual leather-covered door with a lock, there was a sturdy iron door. Taking out her key ring and attempting to insert one of the keys into the lock hole, she immediately realized her idea wasn't very successful. Even at first glance, it was clear that the key didn't fit. The lock, like the door, was new. Tossing the key ring back into her bag, she pressed the doorbell. But no matter how many times she rang, no one answered. There was nobody at home. What kind of people are they? I gave them a telegram. I warned them that I'm coming back tonight, the girl muttered as she struggled to carry her heavy suitcase down the stairs. Sitting on a bench near the entrance, she started to wait for her family to return. It had been dark outside for a while, and a fine, annoying rain had started to fall. Pamela kept glancing at her windows, hoping to see the lights come on any moment. Pamela, she heard a familiar voice. Hello, Ms. Miranda. Pamela was delighted to see her neighbor who lived on the ground floor. How you've grown, dear. You've become a true beauty. Ms. Miranda exclaimed. Wait a moment. And why do you have a suitcase with you? Well, why? I've come back home. I was studying in Washington, the girl laughed. I've been away for 3 years. Honestly, I wanted to stay in the capital, but things didn't work out. I realized it's better to come back to my hometown. It's simpler here. Really? So, I guess you don't know anything? The woman covered her mouth with her hand and shook her head from side to side. Oh dear. Poor you. Unfortunate girl. What are you talking about, Ms. Miranda? I don't understand you. Honestly, you're scaring me. And to whom did you come back, my dear? To my father. Well, they buried him a year ago. Gina sold the apartment right away and left the town, the woman explained. How can it be that my father is gone, the girl cried. What happened to him? And how could she sell the apartment? I'm registered here. I don't understand anything. Pamela clutched her head in disbelief. Yes, I hardly know anything myself. Gina, your stepmother, was so unpleasant. She hardly interacted with the neighbors. She barely greeted them and only occasionally. Depending on her mood. Oh my God. What is going on? Ms. Miranda lamented once again. You need to go to the local police officer and the housing maintenance office right away. This is unbelievable, leaving a girl on the street. People have no conscience. Thank you, Ms. Miranda. I'll definitely go. Pamela waved her off and sat back on the bench. She wanted to be alone and reflect on everything she had just heard, or perhaps just scream. Scream out of grief and resentment. While she had never been close to her father, they were family. The only family she had in the world. She loved him and was sure that he loved her too. He just didn't show it. And now she was alone, completely alone, and without a roof over her head. Pamela. Where are you going to spend the night? Ms. Miranda suddenly remembered. Oh, Ms. Miranda. I don't want to inconvenience you. You have such a large family, children, grandchildren. What will they say? Well, first of all, I'm inviting you to live with me just some time. Or are you suggesting that you'll sleep on a bench? Come with me, the elderly woman said confidently, extending her hand. As they say, better crowded than lonely. Thank you, the girl whispered, obediently following the elderly woman. Ms. Miranda fed her from the road and gathered her entire family for a meeting. The neighbor's husband, Mr. Peter, after hearing Pamela's story, shook his head and sighed heavily. The fact that Gina sold the apartment is true. I've talked to the new tenants and even helped them move their things, he explained. Well, as for Gina being a fraudster, I have no doubt about that at all. She pulled off this deal skillfully. The most important thing is she did it quickly. I do know one thing, she sold it for a very low price. The new owner was so happy to buy an apartment in a decent neighborhood for such a ridiculously low sum. And what of it? Ms. Miranda protested. Are you trying to say that this girl should now live on the street or in a basement? This is all illegal. She didn't give her consent for the apartment to be sold. After all, she's registered there. It's her father's apartment, and she's the only heir. As Pamela listened to the conversation between the two adults, she found herself in a state of shock. Silently, she listened to them, her gaze shifting back and forth between the neighbors, and she couldn't even fathom that when she was planning to return home to her father, she already had neither a father nor a home. All right then. There's no point in talking without purpose, stated Mr. Peter firmly. Don't worry, Pamela. Tomorrow we'll go to the police officer together. And now, let's get some sleep. I feel that tomorrow will be a heavy day. The next morning, the two of them sat before the young local police officer. After listening to their visitors, he simply shrugged. Write a statement. And what can I do? At the very least, I can check the documents for the apartment. I can assure you right away that everything is in order with them. But maybe you did agree to the sale after all? Took your share and now decided to play innocent and reclaim the apartment, the police officer speculated, looking intently at Pamela. Well, let me warn you that such actions are criminally punishable. Are you out of your mind? Mr. Peter angrily retorted. She just returned to the city. The girl spent 3 years studying in Washington. She didn't even know that her father has been gone for a year. And you're smearing her with accusations? Check her passport, her registration is there. How could this even be possible? How should I know? I'm telling you, go to the department, the officer barked. Reluctantly, the police accepted the report and assured them that they would thoroughly investigate the matter soon. When exactly? Mr. Peter inquired. Where is she supposed to stay in the meantime? I have no idea, the investigator shrugged and added. We can't provide accommodation for the victim. All I can promise is that I'll check the information as soon as possible. Stop by, say, in about a week. Pamela left the police station with tears in her eyes. It was clear to her even then that nobody was willing to resolve her problem and the police weren't going to delve into it. Don't cry, the neighbor said sternly. Tears won't help right now. If there's no news in a week, we'll go to the prosecutor's office. Don't worry, Ms. Miranda and I won't abandon you in this predicament. Thank you so much, the girl expressed her gratitude. But you understand as well as I do that I can't keep living at your place all the time. The investigation will drag on. And I don't know how to handle it, it's truly overwhelming. I can't live on the streets. Maybe I should have stayed in Washington after all, and large tears rolled down her cheeks. Listen. Whom did you study under in Washington? The elderly man tried to distract her from her sad thoughts. As a nurse, the girl sobbed. I graduated from a medical school. Wait. This changes everything, exclaimed Mr. Peter. Our hospital is short on staff. Ever since I retired, I've been working there as a guard, so I know for sure. Let's go right now, and we'll figure out the housing issue. We can manage to squeeze in for a while, it's not a problem, and in the evening, we'll visit your apartment and talk to the new owner. Are they living there now? Pamela inquired. Yesterday I waited until it was dark, but no one showed up. Of course, they're living there. A young woman with 2 kids and an elderly mother. As far as I know, she's divorced from her husband. They sold their joint house, divided the money, and she used her share to buy this apartment. That's what I'm saying. She was thrilled. She thought she'd have to live in the outskirts, but things worked out so well for her, the neighbor explained. Mr. Peter immediately decided that he wouldn't leave the girl in trouble. He knew her father and had known Pamela since she was little. They went straight to the hospital's chief physician. After hearing the guard's recommendations, Mr. Adam gladly hired the girl. Now go to the HR department. Tell them that I asked to put you in the trauma department. Tomorrow morning, I'll be waiting for you in the department on the 2nd floor. Mr. Peter will show you everything, the chief physician stated. Well, at least something went right, Pamela said tiredly while leaving the hospital. I don't even know how to thank you, Mr. Peter. It would have been hard for me without your help. In the morning, Pamela eagerly rushed to work. Since Mr. Peter was on duty that day, he accompanied the girl straight to the department, introducing her to the charge nurse's capable hands. Just in time. Laura exclaimed with joy. Recently, 2 nurses went on maternity leave. An epidemic of sorts seems to have started. Pamela looked around the clean and cozy department with curiosity. Noticing 2 beds at the end of the corridor with patients, she was extremely surprised. Are there not enough beds in the wards? She asked Laura. Oh, we have plenty of space. 3 rooms are completely empty. But those are for the homeless. They always lie in the corridor. It's unimaginable how much disease is there, Laura replied. Still, Pamela approached one of the homeless men. She was curious. The man seemed young and, to her, didn't look like a typical homeless person at all. Yes, his face was dirty, covered in scrapes, but upon closer inspection, she involuntarily screamed and turned to Laura. He's not homeless. Pamela said. I know this person. What happened to him? Why is he in this state? I have no idea. He can't tell us anything coherent, he just mumbles. Maybe he's mute. The ambulance brought him to us yesterday, and if I'm not mistaken, they picked him up near the train station. Where do you know him from? Laura was surprised. So, we met him on the train. We were in the same compartment traveling from Washington. His name is Kevin. He came to our city on a business trip for 3 days. How can he be homeless? The girl was offended by the medical staff's attitude towards a person who was likely in trouble. And what were we supposed to think? The charge nurse tried to justify herself. He didn't have any documents with him. He can't say anything coherent. He's all dirty. Anyway, let's go, we're running late. There's a lot of work to do. Pamela came to visit Kevin several times that day, but he remained unconscious. The doctor assured her that it was normal, as he was under the influence of sedatives. Pamela. Where have you been? Laura asked in a displeased tone. Have you done everything I told you? Yes, I've finished everything, Pamela replied. Great. Then you're free for today. By the way, here's the duty schedule for the month. Take a look and copy it down. Pamela was ready to say that she was willing to work around the clock without a schedule, as she had nowhere else to go. In a way, she felt like a homeless person, not the patients who had no place even in the vacant wards. However, understanding that her problem was of little interest to most people here, she decided to keep quiet. So, how was your first day of work? Ms. Miranda smiled. Great. My feet are aching from fatigue, but I really like this job. I've dreamt of becoming a doctor since childhood. Even though I didn't become a full-fledged doctor, being a nurse is also an honorable profession. What do you think, Ms. Miranda? I completely agree with you, the neighbor nodded affirmatively. What about the apartment? Any news? Don't think that I'm trying to get rid of you. I'm just genuinely concerned. No, the investigator said not before next week. But today, Mr. Peter and I decided to visit the new tenants. Just to inquire about the situation, Pamela frowned, sinking into her gloomy thoughts again. After dinner, when she and her neighbor stepped outside, Pamela's heart tightened. The windows of her apartment were lit up. Perfect. That means they're home. Let's go. Did you take your ID? The man asked, and Pamela nodded affirmatively. Climbing to the 4th floor, the girl cautiously knocked on the door. When the door opened, the woman who answered didn't hide her surprise at the unexpected guests. Good evening, Vivian. Mr. Peter said. It's been a while since we've seen you. Yes, my mother was in the village, they gathered the last harvest. We won't be able to go there until spring, Mom is very weak. Besides, there's hardly anything to do there in the winter, the woman explained. Understand, Vivian. We have this situation here. I don't even know how to explain everything to you, Mr. Peter hesitated. In short, this girl Pamela is registered in your apartment now. She has been living here since birth, and the apartment was sold without her consent. What are you talking about? Is this some kind of joke? Vivian nervously laughed. How could she possibly have gotten registered here? Look. Pamela handed the woman her open passport. And how does that change anything? The new owner flared up. I bought this apartment. I have all the documents, and your scammers. I'll call the police right now. I went to the police. They said they would investigate everything, the girl said sadly. Vivian, don't get angry. I've known Pamela since she was little, I've watched her grow up. She's honest and doesn't lie. She and her stepmother, well, Gina, the one who sold you the apartment, never got along. After finishing school, Pamela went to Washington to study and didn't come home for 2 reasons. First, she didn't want to meet Gina again, who didn't hide her hatred. And second, she didn't have extra money for the trip. She lived on a scholarship for 3 years, often going hungry. After completing her studies, she returned home. Now she found out that her father died a year ago and the stepmother sold the apartment. Such are the circumstances. All right. Let's go to the kitchen. Vivian shifted from anger to compassion. I think we all need to calm down and discuss everything in detail. I'll show you the documents. You can see for yourselves that everything is in order. As expected, they didn't reach a unanimous opinion. Everyone had their own perspective. Yes. Mr. Peter sighed heavily. We can't sort this out without involving the police. One thing I'm sure of is that we need to find Gina and make her return the money from the apartment sale. The next day, Pamela went to the head of the housing maintenance office. After a lengthy conversation and document verification, it turned out that the girl had been deregistered from the apartment. Here, take a look. Recognize your signature, the man asked sternly, furrowing his brows. Looks like it, Pamela said. But I didn't sign it. I physically couldn't have done it because I wasn't in the city at that time. I can prove that. You won't be able to manipulate me, she retorted. So, are you implying that I signed for you? The man asked with an annoyed tone. Well, maybe not you specifically. But the fact that corruption and crime thrive here is undeniable. Tomorrow I'll file a complaint with the prosecutor's office, and I hope they'll expose you, Pamela threatened and left, slamming the door loudly. Your homeless friend woke up, Laura said, seeing Pamela entering the office. He's not homeless. But thanks anyway. At least one piece of good news for today, the girl exclaimed. Can I go to him? Don't rush. He still doesn't remember anything. Nothing at all? Nothing at all. His memory's completely wiped. He doesn't even know his own name. The police will come today. Tell them what you know about him. Well, apart from his name, I don't know much about him, Pamela shrugged. Oh, and I also know that he came here on a business trip, and I know he lives in Washington. You see, there's so much information, and you say you don't know anything. You'll tell all of this to the investigator. I think someone in Washington might be looking for him. Seeing Kevin, Pamela felt disappointed. He looked dismal, pale, thin, with a detached and lost expression. He had nothing in common with the confident, handsome guy she had recently met. Hi. Do you remember me? Pamela smiled. We were in the same train compartment from Washington. We chatted almost the whole way. The guy studied the girl's face carefully, but from the expression on his face, it was clear that he was seeing her for the first time. No, he shook his head negatively. I never thought it would be this unpleasant. What exactly? Pamela didn't understand. To be lying like a vegetable and not know anything about your past. It's scary to some extent. Do you know me? Tell me. What's my name? Who am I? Kevin asked hopefully. Your name is Kevin. You're a cheerful guy, living in Washington, and you came here on a business trip. That's basically all I know. We were just fellow travelers. Kevin, don't worry. The doctor assured that your memory will come back soon. It happens. The girl tried to encourage the young man in some way. Kevin covered himself with a blanket and turned to the wall, indicating that the conversation was over. After lunch, Pamela was called to the doctor's office for a conversation with the investigator. Seeing the girl, the representative of authority was quite surprised. You again? The guy smirked. Pamela was slightly disappointed when she saw the same investigator who was supposed to handle her case. Good day, Mr. Henry. I must admit I'm surprised. I'm curious, are there no other specialists in town besides you? Pamela said sarcastically. Kevin already had a hard time. And on top of all the misfortunes, they sent you. Did you come for his matter? Yes, as you can see. I'm a very busy person. Instead of being sarcastic, why don't you tell me what you know about him? Well, actually, nothing. I know he's from Washington, his name is Kevin, he's here on a business trip, but that's all from his words. Not much to go on. Perhaps you have some information about the train you were on? The number, for example. Date, carriage number, seat. That would be very helpful. Sure, I have the ticket in my wallet. I kept it as a memory, so to speak, the girl smiled. Digging in her bag, she pulled out the ticket and provided the investigator with all the information he needed. All right, I had the third seat, and Kevin had the upper bunk across from me. So, the second bunk. The investigator noted everything down and said, "Thank you. You truly provided us with invaluable help. And how about the issue with your accommodation? Have you resolved it yet?" "No. Yesterday, I went to the housing office, and it turned out that I've somehow been deregistered from there, even though I have documents for it. But they're fake, because at that time I wasn't even in the city. I was studying in Washington." Quite a story. Don't worry, Pamela. I will definitely look into this matter, Mr. Henry assured her. Thank you. The girl smiled. It's just so frustrating when nobody cares about you, and nobody even bothers to understand your problem. The investigator left, promising to come by in the morning. The head of the department, who had inadvertently overheard their conversation, was curious about Pamela's housing problems. When she told him everything, he let out a heavy sigh and said, "Yes, indeed. It's scary how people live these days. For the sake of money, they're willing to do any wickedness, without any shame." "I agree with you. I never thought I'd end up homeless one day," Pamela smiled. "Thanks to kind neighbors, they didn't leave me stranded, they took me in temporarily. But I understand I can't impose on them for too long. They're cramped in a small apartment themselves, and I have my own problems to deal with. Listen. I might be able to help you," unexpectedly spoke the man. "How?" "Well, it's quite simple. We can assign a room for you. The department is spacious, and there are always empty rooms. We have all the facilities, showers, a cafeteria, a laundry room. Live there, if you want. So, if this option works for you, you can stay until the police sort out your problem," said Mr. Paul. "Are you serious?" Pamela clapped her hands in excitement. "I don't even know how to thank you." "I know how. If it's not too much trouble, take on a few extra shifts, as my girls from the year's batch have been requesting leave, and this way I can let them go one by one. Deal?" "Of course. With pleasure. Especially now that work will become my home," Pamela smiled. "Well, not forever. Everything will work out for you in life," Mr. Paul encouraged her. As promised, the investigator came by the next morning, looking quite puzzled. "So, how's it going? Any news?" he asked Pamela. "No. Kevin remains silent all the time, doesn't talk to anyone." "Did you manage to find out anything about him?" "Yes, but it didn't make things easier," sighed the young man. "According to the documents, a person named Mr. David was supposed to be in that seat. There's no one by that name in Washington, no one's looking for him." "How is that possible?" Pamela was surprised. "And why did he introduce himself as Kevin then?" "Well, everything indicates that our friend's documents are fake. I'm going to take his fingerprints now, and you. I beg you, try to remember every tiny detail and come see me when you're free. We need to document your statements." "All right," Pamela said wearily. "Thank you, Pamela, and I have one more small request. If Kevin remembers anything, even the slightest detail, please call me anytime, day or night," he said. "Do you think he's a criminal?" Pamela asked. "I'm considering all possibilities, and until I get to the bottom of everything, I can't say for sure. We'll check his fingerprints tomorrow, and it's possible that new information will emerge," explained Mr. Henry. "I see. And what progress has been made regarding my case?" "Sorry for being direct, but have you done anything at all? Time is passing, after all. How long do I have to wait?" Pamela gathered her courage. "Well, first we need to conduct an examination and prove that your signature on the documents is fake. Then we'll verify the information about your whereabouts at the time of the eviction and sale of the apartment. If everything is as you say, we'll immediately put out a warrant for your stepmother. Understand, Pamela, this is not a matter of a couple of days. The girl thanked the investigator, glad that he had finally taken some action. After bidding farewell, she went to Ms. Miranda for her belongings. What are you up to? The elderly neighbor couldn't understand. How can you live in the hospital? Quite well, actually, Pamela smiled. I would say it's like being in a sanatorium. No, it's up to you, of course. But remember, if you don't like something, we're always here to welcome you back. Thank you. The girl teared up. You and Mr. Peter are the only close people I have. I can't even imagine what I would do without you. Life in the hospital room was quite bearable. The room was small, designed for 2 people, but very cozy. Pamela was glad that during her stay here, she could save quite a bit. After all, there was no need to pay for accommodation, and she ate in the hospital cafeteria. She had to work 1.5 shifts. One night, she tossed and turned, unable to fall asleep. Unable to come up with anything better to do, she put on her robe and decided to take a walk through the hospital corridors. But when she saw Kevin at one of the windows, she was very surprised. Just earlier in the day, the guy was so weak he couldn't even sit up in bed. Yet now he was walking around the ward on his own. Why aren't you sleeping? Pamela whispered, approaching him quietly from behind. You? The guy jumped in surprise, fear evident on his face. I can see you're doing much better. Earlier at lunch, you couldn't even sit up in bed, and now you're strolling around. The girl looked at the sick man with suspicion. Pamela. Kevin said after a brief silence. I don't know if I can trust you, but I really want to. You see, I'm all alone in this city, and I have no one to turn to for help. You seem to be the only person I can reach out to. I guess your memory has returned then, the girl exclaimed with joy. Yes, to be honest. It never left me. I had to play this little act, Kevin admitted. Curious. Kevin, did you commit some kind of crime? No. Believe me, I'm clean in the eyes of the law. But there was an incident and now. Kevin unexpectedly fell silent, not finishing his sentence, as he noticed a duty nurse walking down the corridor. Please, play along with me, he whispered to Pamela. The medical worker, noticing Kevin and Pamela by the window, was already heading in their direction. Why aren't you sleeping? Kate asked in surprise. Are you feeling better? The nurse shifted her gaze to Kevin. Oh, no. Pamela lied. I just convinced the patient to take a short walk to prevent bed sores. Let's go, Kevin. I'll help you get back to your room. Kevin immediately grimaced and walked cautiously, leaning on Pamela's arm. She escorted him back to the ward and then whispered that she would come later before returning to her own room. Sleep had completely abandoned her. She couldn't understand anything. For several days, Kevin had expertly pretended, fooling the entire hospital, but why? What was his goal? The girl concluded that until she knew the whole truth, she wouldn't tell the investigator anything. Especially since Kevin had assured her that he hadn't done anything illegal, and for some reason, she believed him. Making sure that Kate was resting in the nurse's station, Pamela quietly left the room. Pamela, can I count on your help? Kevin asked with hope in his voice as he saw her. Yes, of course. Of course, I'll help you, but how? You'll have to tell me everything from the beginning. I'm ready, but not now, as you understand, and not here. I need to escape from the hospital and hide somewhere temporarily, the guy said quietly. Let's assume I can help you discreetly leave the hospital, but as for the rest. I live in the hospital myself, the girl smiled. What if I give you some money? Can you rent a place for me? What money are you talking about, Kevin? You were found in a critical condition. You had no documents or money on you. The police suspect you were robbed. I have money. They're in a locker at the train station, in a wallet. Here's what we'll do. I'll tell you the locker number, the code. You'll retrieve everything and rent a place. Just for a month. Is that okay? Well, all right. Pamela agreed. I have a day off tomorrow, so I think I can manage in a day. Quickly locating the locker, the girl easily retrieved the wallet, without checking its contents. She put the find in a bag and returned to the hospital. Kevin lay in bed with a distant expression, staring at the ceiling, portraying indifference to what was happening around him. I have to admit, he's a fantastic actor, Pamela thought. Maybe he's not as simple as he seems. In the wallet were documents under the name of Kevin. The photo also depicted Kevin. Registration in Washington. Just to be safe, Pamela wrote down all the passport details on a piece of paper and, after discreetly moving Kevin's belongings, she went looking for a suitable apartment. Renting a small place on the outskirts of the city, she returned to the ward by evening. Waiting until everyone went to sleep, Pamela went to see the guy. So, how did it go? Any progress? Kevin whispered. I did everything. But I think you need a few more days in the hospital. Why the rush? Pamela suggested. No, it's dangerous. They might find me here. I wouldn't want that, the guy said seriously. The sooner I leave the hospital, the better. Can you get me out today? Yes, I'll bring clothes for you. You can change, and then you'll wait for me. I'll come in a couple of hours. In the deep of the night, she silently left the room. Kevin was fully prepared. Gently calling out to him, she guided him down the stairs to the exit and opened the emergency door. Phew. We did it. The guy exclaimed with relief. We're in a hospital, Pamela smiled. Escaping from here is as easy as pie. Honestly, I have serious doubts about the rightness of my actions. Don't doubt it. Just think about the fact that today you saved my life, Kevin said. Well, maybe you'll share, after all, what kind of situation you got yourself into. No time now. Come to me, we'll sit down in a calm environment, and I'll tell you everything. By the way, why do you live in a hospital? That's also a long story, the girl smiled. The address of the apartment and the keys are in your wallet. It's paid for a month, as you asked. Thank you, Pamela. The guy sincerely thanked her. When will you come to me? No way. I'm definitely not coming to your place. If you want to meet and talk, let's do it in the park by the big fountain. You know it, right? So if it works for you, let's meet tomorrow at around 2. Sounds good. I'll be waiting. Kevin smiled. I hope you won't get into any trouble? Well, hardly. They definitely won't suspect me. I'll remind you once again, this is a hospital, not a prison. Saying goodbye to Kevin, Pamela locked the doors and turned off the nurse's station light, slipping back to her ward. She desperately wanted to believe that she had done the right thing, that Kevin hadn't lied to her, and that she had helped him avoid trouble. Seeing a glimmer of light outside the window, she lay down to rest. There were only a few hours left before her shift began. Hello, everyone. Entering the nurse's station, Pamela pretended to yawn and smiled. I haven't slept so soundly in a long time, almost overslept my shift. Good for you. The nurse mumbled. The staff is sleeping soundly, while the patients roam at night. We'll all get scolded today. Well, except for you, probably. You had a day off. What happened? Pamela feigned surprise as best she could. Something happened. Your homeless guy vanished, Laura explained. Maybe you know where he went? I don't understand, which homeless guy are you talking about? Haven't you woken up yet, Pamela? The one who lost his memory. We've been looking for him for about an hour and a half. We're exhausted. Maybe he went for a walk, got lost, and can't remember which ward he was in. Well, anything's possible, but I have no idea, Pamela lied. And a minute later, a breathless orderly rushed into the room. Any news? Laura asked with hope. Oh, I've checked all the units. But the night nurse said there was an open window on the second-floor staircase. Apparently, he escaped through it. What? He could barely get out of bed. No way. He must have gotten lost, Pamela said, feigning surprise. Well, it's time to call the police, there's no point in searching for him. We've turned the whole hospital upside down, Laura said. Well, fine. You continue searching, and it's time for me to start my shift, Pamela said, leaving the nurse's station. She would meet with Kevin tomorrow. He would tell her everything. She wasn't burdened by guilt at all because everything was done with the best of intentions. She had saved a person's life, and she didn't trust the police at all. But in order to finally resolve everything, Pamela needed to hear Kevin's story. After lunch, Mr. Henry, the young investigator, visited the ward. He was clearly in a bad mood. Spotting Pamela at the station, he immediately confronted her with accusations. Where were you looking? And how could a bedridden patient escape in the first place? Well, first of all, don't shout at me, Pamela retorted. And secondly, we can't assign a guard to every patient to watch over them. And why all this nervousness? Is he a criminal? Have you managed to find out anything about Kevin? No, we haven't found out, the investigator spoke in a calmer tone. Then maybe you found out how they managed to discharge me from my own apartment. Or perhaps, you found my stepmother? The girl teased. The investigator shot her an angry look, waved his hand, and rushed into the doctor's office. Despite the morning incident, the shift went smoothly, and by evening, everything had calmed down completely. A person decided to leave. What's wrong with that? He's a free man, and no one has the right to keep him forcibly. But Pamela couldn't understand why this fact had enraged the investigator so much. The police had nothing on him. Quite the opposite, this patient was a victim. He was attacked. But instead of investigating the circumstances of the attack, the police quickly labeled Kevin as a criminal and began looking for evidence against him. The next day, approaching the large fountain, Pamela saw Kevin sitting on a bench, looking bored, and waved to him. He was burning with curiosity, especially since she had seen a substantial amount of money in dollars in his bag, and even then she realized that Kevin wasn't as simple as he tried to appear. Hi. Honestly, I was really afraid you wouldn't come, the young man smiled, extending a bouquet of beautiful roses. Is this for me? So unexpected, the girl blushed. It's for your help. I couldn't have managed without you. Listen, I'm so hungry. Maybe we can grab a bite somewhere? She nodded in agreement, and half an hour later, the young people were sitting in a cozy restaurant with a homey atmosphere. Quite a commotion in the hospital, huh? Kevin asked. I hope you didn't get into trouble? No, not really. To tell you the truth, no one got into trouble. In the morning, of course, there was a fuss, the nurse scolded the night nurse, but by the evening, everyone had forgotten about it. The only person who was really upset about what happened was the investigator. He's quite vigorously handling your case. Finding out who you really are. By the way, speaking of which. Who are you? What did you get involved in? Don't you want to tell me? Pamela smiled. Sure, it's easy. I came to your city to finalize a profitable deal. All the documents were ready, we just needed to sign them. Huge amounts of money were invested in this project, we worked on it for almost a year, and it seemed strange that our meeting was scheduled at a train station cafe rather than an office. But I didn't listen to my intuition and never made it to the cafe. I woke up in the hospital. And, as you can imagine, they didn't find any documents on me. Could it be a coincidence? What if it was just ordinary robbers? Pamela speculated. I also thought about that. But the people I was supposed to meet with have disappeared. Their mobile phone numbers are no longer in service. No one answers the landlines. And besides, what common robbers would be interested in a thin folder of papers? They want wallets, jewelry. Things they can quickly turn into cash. What would they do with documents? No, the possibility of ordinary thieves is unlikely. Well, then I really don't understand why you didn't tell the investigator all this and didn't file a statement? Pamela was surprised. Oh, Pamela. I thought people weren't this naive anymore. The guy smiled. In cases like this, the police can only make things worse if they're not on your side. You can't trust anyone and you can only rely on your own strengths. You see, when they beat me up, I was still conscious, heard everything. They wanted to get rid of me, planned to put me in the trunk of a car and take me out of town. But at some point, I heard a dog barking and the voice of its owner. Apparently, they were scared off by them. This man with the dog messed up all the plans of my robbers. Long story short, the police are definitely not my allies in this matter. I decided it would be better if everyone, including my partner, considered me missing. I'll find these scoundrels myself and recover the documents. But how can you do that alone? Such people are capable of anything. Pamela didn't understand. Maybe you should at least inform your partner? Finding a solution together would be easier, wouldn't it? No, there's no need. I'll test my partner right away. Something tells me he's involved in this as well. Although, of course, I could be wrong. We'll see. Time will tell, as they say. You better tell me what happened to you. Why are you living in the hospital? Were you kicked out by your relatives? Yes, I don't have any relatives left, Pamela said sadly. My father passed away a year ago, and then things got interesting. My stepmother somehow managed to have me discharged and sold the apartment. How is that possible? Didn't your stepmother also have the right to ownership? Kevin inquired. Well, she and her children were registered in it, and it's not just about whether she had the right or not. This woman falsified all the documents. She bribed whoever needed bribing, and now, according to all the paperwork, it looks like I willingly moved out and agreed to sell my own property. How can that be? And the saddest part is that your investigator is handling my case.
Yeah,
Right. Kevin shook his head. You can tell from him that he won't lift a finger for free. But don't despair. I have good connections, and I'll help you sort out your situation. You just need to wait a bit. As soon as I deal with my own matters, I'll take care of yours, he promised. Thanks, of course. Pamela thanked. It's just that time is passing by. Yes, everything will be fine. The man smiled. Now, let's finally eat. Such a wonderful evening. Thank you for your support. Pamela thanked as she was getting ready to leave. Pamela, maybe we can take a little walk around the city? Or better yet, let's go to the movies, suggested Kevin. I really don't want to go back to an empty, unfamiliar apartment. Well, I don't know. Going to the movies is definitely not an option. Otherwise, I won't be able to return by 10 p.m. and I'll end up spending the night on a bench. The prospect, isn't that great, she laughed. Listen, but living in the hospital is just not normal at all. I can't wrap my head around it. Let me help, and we'll find you an apartment to rent. I have the money. No, it's not necessary. Everything suits me, Pamela declined. Let's just take a walk. I still have a couple of hours to spare. October was surprisingly warm and dry. The young people walked along the city park alley, breathing in the sweetly pungent aroma of autumn leaves that still held the warmth of summer sun. Pamela felt comfortable next to Kevin. From the young man, there emanated strength and confidence. Being next to him, she momentarily forgot about her troubles and sorrows. Pamela. Tell me about your stepmother, who is she? Where is she from? Do you have any idea where she might have gone? He asked. I know a little. I was small back then, but as far as I remember, this woman ran away with the children from her ex-husband. She bought a ticket for the next train. She didn't care where she was going. That's how she ended up in our city. I don't know where she met my father. I only remember that he brought them to our apartment and said they would live here now. At that time, I was 7, and at first, I was even happy. I didn't know yet what kind of hell awaited me ahead. I considered her my mother, and after all, mothers are supposed to be kind. After all, I remembered my own mother and believed that all mothers were like that, and there couldn't be any different ones. Gina, she mistreated you, didn't she? Kevin asked. At first, no. For the first 3 months, we lived like in a fairy tale. But then she and my dad got married, and everything changed drastically. Not only did she hate me, but she also turned her children against me. Thankfully, her youngest, who was 2 years younger than me, was quite okay with me. But over time, he also adopted their way of treating me after observing how his mother and sister behaved. Lisa, my stepsister, always took my things, and Sam could hit, push, or kick me out of the room for no reason. And your dad? He didn't react in any way?
Yeah.
Not at all. No, at first, he told me to be more understanding towards them, to give in to everything. Like, they had a tough life, suffered as kids, but when the situation changed not in my favor, he suddenly stopped noticing everything. In the family, she became the stepmother in charge, and he often drank. As I understand now, it was easier for him to turn a blind eye to everything. Wow! Kevin exclaimed. To ruin your own and your child's life because of one's weakness. Well, anyway. Thank God, that's all in the past and will never happen again. Today, the most important thing is to find your stepmother and hold her accountable.
Yeah.
But where do we look for her? They could be anywhere, not necessarily in this city. Before, they used to live in some village, but it's like finding a needle in a haystack, the girl sighed. Don't worry, we'll find her. The man said confidently. Just trust me and give me a little time. The young people were already approaching the gates of the hospital when suddenly a guy in a hoodie dashed out from an alleyway and forcefully yanked the bag from Pamela's hands. The girl didn't panic, she held onto the bag with an iron grip and pushed the thief. Taken by surprise, the guy lost his balance and fell to the ground. The hood slipped off his head, and Pamela gasped in astonishment. Sam! She exclaimed, recognizing her stepbrother immediately, but he quickly got up and started running. What was that? The man asked. Do you know him? Yes. He's my stepbrother, Sam. Pamela said. Too bad he escaped. His face is very familiar to me too, muttered Kevin, trying to remember something feverishly. No, I can't recall where I've seen him, but I definitely know him. Sorry, Pamela, I didn't react at all, I was just taken aback when I saw his face, and then you even called him by name. It's okay. Don't worry. You're still not strong enough for such confrontations. So, your little brother is in the city? Kevin pondered. Yes, in the city, and he's engaging in robberies, the girl said. We need to urgently tell the investigator everything. I wouldn't do that if I were you. Let's not tell him anything. Mr. Henry is shady. When can we meet again? Kevin asked, taking Pamela's hand. I have a day off the day after tomorrow. Great. So, let's meet at the same place and the same time. I've called my friend from school here. He used to work in the police and then went into private investigation. I think he can help us. Pamela tossed and turned all night, unable to sleep. She was thinking about her stepbrother. Of course, she had noticed back then that he was very spoiled. He always thought only of himself. But she couldn't have imagined that he would turn into a thief. The next time Pamela came to the fountain, Kevin wasn't alone to greet her. Let me introduce you, this is my childhood friend Michael. We used to sit at the same desk back in the day, Kevin said. Nice to meet you. Pamela smiled. Pamela, you need to remember as much information as possible about your stepmother, sister, and brother. Surnames, names, dates of birth, and any little details you can recall will be useful, explained Michael. All right, I'll prepare everything as soon as possible. Michael soon left for some errands, and Pamela and Kevin decided to go to the movies. Pamela noticed that today Kevin was silent and lost in thought. Are you okay? She inquired. I remembered where I've seen your brother before. He's one of the attackers. No, that can't be true. Pamela exclaimed. Sam has always been a troublemaker, and he's still the same. You saw how he was going after women's bags. I understand that he's just a pawn in someone's big game. And if we manage to find him, I think he can tell us a lot of interesting things. By the way, do you have a photo of him? No, Pamela shrugged. But I know where he can be found. At least, it's worth a try. For the past 3 years, he's been hanging out in his friend's building. Scott lives opposite my house on the ground floor. They even made themselves a room for gatherings in the space intended for strollers. Now that's interesting. Can you give us the exact address? Michael and I will visit there today. All right. Just please be careful. There's a very shady crowd there. You're not fully recovered yet, she cautioned. I don't think Sam will spill the beans so easily. It's unlikely he got scared of you. You underestimate my friend. He's well connected in every city, including the police, for a reason. That's why I turned to him. Kevin, isn't anyone looking for you by now? Pamela asked. It's really strange. Someone doesn't return from a business trip and no one cares? Exactly. You find it strange too? Kevin grinned. Well, okay, my parents. They live far away and are out of the loop, that's understandable. But my partner's behavior keeps surprising me. He should have raised the alarm a long time ago. Yet, for some reason, he's staying silent. And your family? Isn't your wife curious where you went? Pamela asked delicately. It's much simpler here. The guy smiled. I'm not married. So, all suspicions point to your partner? Well, it seems that way. The next day, Michael came to visit Pamela at the department. He informed her that they managed to catch Sam. The guy turned out to be talkative and revealed a lot of interesting information. When can we talk? Michael clarified. Tomorrow morning. I'm the only one on duty today. I can't leave, unfortunately, the girl explained with regret. Don't worry. He won't escape from us, we'll extract all the information from him. And what will you do with him afterward? Keep in mind, Sam always had a vivid imagination. His information needs to be thoroughly verified, she warned. Of course, we'll take that into account. Michael handed a piece of paper to the girl with an address, saying that as soon as she's free tomorrow, she should come there immediately. The indicated address was that of the city police station, and seeing Kevin near the entrance, she hurried over to him. Hey. Kevin smiled. I've got a bunch of news. Sam got arrested? Pamela clarified. Not yet. Right now, he's giving a statement, and we'll see what happens next. The girl entered a dark and cramped room cluttered with various junk. Michael was sitting at a table with another man, and Sam was sitting across from them. The guy looked cornered, casting sidelong glances at the people present. So you sick the dogs on me? Thanks, sis. He immediately launched into accusations at Pamela. No, it wasn't me. You've brought this upon yourself. Pamela calmly stated. I see you've changed, Pamela. Not the innocent little girl you used to seem. Well, that wasn't without your help. Pamela. Sam's tone changed. Come on, talk to them, ask them to let me go. I've spilled everything already. Pamela felt sorry for the guy. Whatever the situation, they had lived under the same roof since childhood. It was hard for her to watch him self-destruct. After all, deep down, he wasn't a bad person. He had just been very unlucky with his mother. Why did you sell my apartment? She asked straightforwardly. What were you thinking? That I'd let everything slide? Like, no, that's not how it works. Sam, you're all adults and should understand that this is a crime, and you'll have to answer for it under the law.
Yeah.
What's it got to do with me? It was my mother's idea. What could I change? The guy tried to defend himself. And you're not to blame for the bump on my head either, right? Kevin chuckled. Sam lowered his head in silence. He was thinking about one thing: how to get out of this situation as quickly as possible. Of course, he could have lied through his teeth, but it was clear that these people were serious, and lying might make things worse. So Sam decided to answer all the questions as truthfully as possible. "Where is your mother now?" Pamela asked. "And how did she manage to discharge me from the hospital?" "How?" "She slipped some money to the head of the housing maintenance office, of course. He had the power to do that. And where my mother is now, I don't know. Seriously. She and Lisa gave me some money and left. But you must have some ideas about where they could have gone, right? Maybe they talked about it before leaving?" Pamela clarified. "Well, I'm not sure. But I think she might be with her sister in New York," he confessed. Pamela left the office feeling unpleasant and disgusted. "What's next?" she asked Kevin. "The investigator won't go to New York to search for my stepmother, will he? And can we really trust that she's there?" "Did you know about her sister?" Michael asked. "No. This is the first time I've heard of it." "Well, let's assume he didn't lie to us," Michael speculated. "Pamela, get your statement back from the investigator today. Tell him you have your own people and you'll handle it yourselves. I don't think he'll object. Your case will be handled by capable people. I hope they'll manage to find your stepmother and get to the truth." With tears in her eyes, Pamela thanked Michael and Kevin. She was sure that without them, hardly anyone else could have helped her. "And what about your case?" Pamela asked. "Did you find out anything?" "Yes, quite a bit. Your stepbrother immediately turned in his clients. As it turns out, it was just an ordinary gang of scammers, and my partner was involved in it," Kevin answered sadly. "It's so hard to believe. We started from scratch, even did the office renovation ourselves. I considered him a brother. Money is to blame for everything. People, when they see money, lose their dignity and reason," Pamela said. "No, it's not the money's fault. Trust me. Even when dealing with a lot of money, you can still remain a human being. Greed and avarice are to blame. They destroy everything around. We could have kept working and eventually earned much more, but no. He wanted everything and wanted it right now." "What will you do with him?" the girl asked. "Michael has gathered enough evidence against my partner. We'll hand it over to the law enforcement agencies. Let him face the consequences of the law. I'll take my share and start my own business. I have more than enough experience for that. And I already have a client base established." "So, you'll be leaving soon?" Pamela asked, unable to hide the sadness in her voice. "Yes, how could I not?" Kevin smiled. "But first, we need to sort out your stepmother." "Thank you." The girl expressed her gratitude. "Pamela, I want to confess something to you," Kevin said quietly. "I haven't felt like this in a long time. I believe that our encounter on the train wasn't just a coincidence. I believe it's fate. Do you believe in fate and that coincidences are not accidental?" "Now I do," she lowered her gaze, trying to hide her rising embarrassment. "Let's forget about all the problems and spend this day together. I suggest we go to the theater or cinema and then to a restaurant in the evening." "That's a wonderful idea," the girl exclaimed. "By the way, I've never been to the theater in my life." "Then we'll correct that cosmic injustice today," Kevin smiled, embracing her. The next morning, Pamela arrived at work with a bouquet and eyes sparkling with happiness. The senior nurse was surprised to see her like this. "I don't understand." Laura raised an eyebrow. "Well, look at that news. Come on, spill the beans, little one." "Oh, I think I'm in love," the girl whispered. "I've never felt like this before. I'm moving tomorrow, and I won't be living in the ward anymore." "Well, let's take it step by step. Where are you going?" "To whom?" Pamela, you know that men can not only love but also deceive, right? Who is he? The woman interrogated. He's the best person in the world. The girl smiled. I see. Well, be careful not to end up coming back to live in the ward. It seems to me that you're rushing things a bit too much, Laura warned. He's not like everyone else. Kevin won't deceive me, Pamela confidently stated. Laura shrugged and sighed heavily. She understood that it was pointless to talk to Pamela now. The girl was madly in love and naturally didn't consider the consequences of her actions. The next morning, Kevin was waiting for Pamela at the entrance to the hospital. The young couple got into a taxi and headed to the apartment Pamela had rented for him. I've paid for the apartment for a year in advance. You'll live peacefully here while I sort out your matters. Tomorrow, you'll go to the prosecutor's office. They're handling your stepmother from now on, Kevin said. Great. Where's Michael? Has he already left for Washington? No. He went to New York. Maybe he'll be able to locate Gina. So to speak, he's assisting the investigation. If he's taken on the case, he'll see it through to the end. 2 months passed. Pamela felt like the happiest woman on earth. She and Kevin had developed a perfect relationship. He promised to take her to Washington as soon as he sorted out his affairs. How about leaving this apartment behind? I have a spacious house in the Washington suburbs. Soon you'll be the mistress of it, Kevin suggested one day. No. So much has already been done. I don't want to stop halfway. The investigation has already proven that I'm not involved in the sale. The head of the housing maintenance office has been detained. Yes, but Gina seems to have vanished. If even Michael can't find a trace, then the law enforcement won't find her either. They will find her, Pamela asserted confidently. She's wanted, and sooner or later they'll catch her. Well, if you say so. Kevin shrugged. Maybe you're right. You know, I'll need to return to Washington for a short while. Will you come with me? I can't right now, the girl said apologetically. As always, there's a shortage of people at work. And how long will you be gone? Well, I don't know. I think a couple of weeks. At most, a month. But let's agree that you won't be sad. Kevin smiled, seeing Pamela's disappointment. Okay, I won't be. The girl promised, trying not to cry. With Kevin, she felt confident and calm. Just the thought of having to part with him for some time made her unbearably sad. But she couldn't leave with Kevin right now and let down her colleagues. After all, they had helped her so much in the past. For a whole month, Pamela lived with anticipation. Work, home, work again. Only the evening calls from Kevin brought joy and optimism to her life. Pamela. Michael called me today. The police have arrested your stepmother. You need to go to the prosecutor's office tomorrow morning, Kevin informed her during a late-night call. That's great. Does this mean I can soon go back home? She exclaimed. Well, I don't think it'll be that soon. The apartment has been sold. The deal will certainly be declared illegal by the court, but it will take some time for that to happen, Kevin explained. What will happen to the new tenants then? Vivian suffered from this woman's actions too, didn't she? It would be good if your stepmother returned the money to her in full. But if not, legal proceedings could drag on indefinitely. It's quite natural that she won't just leave the purchased apartment willingly. I did say you should move in with me, Kevin reminded her. And these legal battles can take years. No, Kevin. I have to achieve justice. I was born and raised in this apartment, and I won't give up just like that. And when are you coming back? I feel so lonely without you, and I can't find peace of mind. I miss you too. But you understand the mess I'm in here. I hope it will all be over soon. Pamela chatted with her beloved Kevin until almost midnight. After hanging up, she went to rest, as a tough day awaited her tomorrow. She had to go to the prosecutor's office and then rush to work. Please come in. A friendly nod from the middle-aged man. Your relative will be brought in shortly. Gina claims that you were aware of the sale. Furthermore, she says you took your share of the money. Is that true? Under Mr. Steve's piercing gaze, shivers ran down the girl's spine. While she knew she wasn't involved in the sale of her apartment, at that moment she felt like a criminal who had accused an innocent stepmother. Yes, no, of course. She stammered. I've decided to hold a face-to-face confrontation. I want to hear both sides at once. Then Gina entered the room. She glanced at her stepdaughter but immediately composed herself, smiling at Pamela. My dear. What have you come up with? Someone must have put you up to this, right? Have you gotten mixed up with a bad crowd? Believe me, Mr. Steve, I raised Pamela to be an honest person. Until recently, she was such a person. Apparently, city life has had a detrimental effect on the child. Let's leave the sentimentality for later. So you're claiming that Pamela was involved in the apartment sale? The investigator asked. Of course. How could I have sold it without her? We discussed everything and decided to split the money. Pamela was supposed to buy herself a room in a communal apartment. True, she couldn't attend the deal as she had exams. So she asked me to sign on her behalf. Who could have thought that the girl I've raised from childhood and love like my own daughter would do this to me? Gina theatrically sniffled and wiped away a tear. Pamela was in a state of shock. Her stepmother was lying so convincingly that she almost started believing the false accusations herself. Is that true? The man turned his gaze to Pamela. No. She shook her head and burst into tears out of frustration and helplessness. There's no need to cry, the prosecutor calmly said. Whatever the case, you're an adult woman and you understand that such actions are illegal, he addressed Gina. I won't even bother to figure out if you're telling the truth or not. There are facts, and these facts indicate that Pamela's signature was forged, and Pamela herself was in Washington at the time of the transaction. And what am I supposed to do now? The woman exclaimed, throwing up her hands. You have two options. First, you return the money to the buyer. She returns the apartment. We turn a blind eye to everything and close the case. And second, you stubbornly continue to portray yourself as a victim. There will be a trial, and you will be punished to the fullest extent of the law. You'll receive a real sentence, Mr. Steve explained. What money? I gave her the majority of it. The stepmother exclaimed, shooting a malicious look at her stepdaughter. I see. So you're choosing the second option then? Well, that's up to you. The investigator nodded to the officer to escort the detained woman out. Left alone with Pamela, he let out a tired sigh. Well, you saw it all for yourself. As I suspected, she squandered the money, and that's bad. I wasn't involved in this sale, Pamela repeated for the umpteenth time. Yes, I believe you. Let's hope that now she'll think things over while sitting and eventually return the money. Thank you, Mr. Steve. Pamela thanked him as she left the office. That evening, she never received the expected call from Kevin. She really wanted to share the news with him. She longed for him to come as soon as possible, to support her during this difficult period. Strangely, Kevin didn't call. After staying up late into the night with her phone in hand, Pamela decided to go to sleep. He'll call tomorrow. He probably has a lot to deal with. He just didn't have time, she reassured herself. Pamela. I don't understand what's happening with you. You've messed things up again. I gave you a task. You were supposed to take the grandmother from the first room for a cardiogram, not the man from the fifth room. Laura scolded, seeing Pamela sitting in a daze in the nurse's station. I'm sorry. I'll fix it right away. I just got a bit confused, the girl apologized. Is something bothering you again? Tell me, don't keep it to yourself, the senior nurse offered.
Yeah.
No, really. Everything's fine. Probably just tired, I guess. And I haven't been feeling well lately. Pamela couldn't admit to her that she had been waiting for Kevin for 3 months. He disappeared and hadn't communicated at all. She was worried that something might have happened to him, and this was affecting her mood and performance. Everything seemed to be slipping through her fingers. "You look very pale, and you've lost even more weight. Promise me that tomorrow you'll go see the general practitioner and get some tests done." "You don't seem well to me lately," Laura said. "I promise, and I'm sorry again for my absent-mindedness." The next day, Pamela decided to visit Mr. Steve. Perhaps he had some news, or maybe he knew where Kevin had disappeared to. "Hello? May I come in?" she asked, cautiously opening the door. "Pamela. I'm glad you came. I was actually about to call you," the man smiled. "How's my case progressing? Did Gina confess?" "Well, no. Who's going to confess to that? Your stepmother doesn't want to incriminate herself. And you know, I had to release her." "How?" "But she was so difficult to locate. Unfortunately, it's not as easy and straightforward in our line of work as it may seem at first glance. There are laws, Pamela, and according to those laws, we no longer had the right to detain her. But don't worry. Everything is under control, the investigation is ongoing, and soon all the culprits will face consequences." Pamela listened to the investigator's words with skepticism. It felt like he was reciting well-practiced phrases, without actually addressing the core of the conversation. "Tell me, do you know anything about Kevin? He disappeared, hasn't called for 2 months now," Pamela asked. "Unfortunately, no," the man shrugged. "You know, sometimes it happens that a man gets lost and doesn't make contact. No. Kevin is not like that. Do you have Michael's phone number? You know him." "No, I don't have his phone number," Mr. Steve said wearily. "If that's all, then I won't keep you. I'm sorry, but I have a lot of work." Pamela left the office with a feeling of emptiness inside her. The investigator, who had previously seemed like a serious and fair person, didn't leave a positive impression on her today. He was avoiding the conversation, speaking in riddles. She couldn't understand what was happening around her. It all felt like an endless loop. Today, Pamela lost hope for justice and for regaining her apartment. Even if Kevin had deceived her, how could she talk about strangers who were completely indifferent to her fate? "Pamela. They're waiting for you in the resident doctor's office," the orderly said, approaching her station. "I'm coming. But who's waiting for me?" "I don't know, some handsome and dignified man," the old lady winked. "Kevin!" Pamela exclaimed with joy. "Why is he in the resident doctor's office? What's going on there?" "Well, how should I know? Go and find out yourself." Upon seeing Mr. Henry sprawled in the chair, Pamela couldn't hide her disappointment. "You?" She looked at the investigator. "And who were you expecting to see, Pamela? Maybe Mr. Kevin?" The man asked with a sly smile. "Do you know anything about Kevin?" The girl asked with concern. "I don't know. That's what I should be asking you." "Pamela, aren't you ashamed, or do you want me to treat you as an accomplice? Why are you covering up a criminal? After all, he escaped from the hospital with your help. Where is he now?" "I advise you not to lie to me, or there will be serious consequences," the investigator threatened. "What criminal?" The girl didn't understand. Kevin was attacked by thugs himself. He's a well-known businessman, and he has a reputable company in Washington. "I see. Please, continue. I'm very interested." "Mr. Henry, are you mocking me?" "No, Pamela. You're the one who's playing games. I should have realized right away that you were colluding with criminals, as soon as you withdrew your complaint about the apartment sale. Are you okay? Did you get the apartment back?" "No," Pamela lowered her head, sitting down on a chair. "What do you know about Kevin? Why do you consider him a criminal?" "I know a lot of things. Kevin is a repeat offender. The head of a criminal group operating in Washington and the Washington region. Do you want me to continue?" That's enough, the girl cried. I suggest you tell me everything you know nicely. Mr. Henry said sternly. Fine, I'll tell you everything, Pamela said in a detached voice. She didn't care anymore. She was completely entangled in her life in this situation. She didn't know how to move forward and whom to trust. Is that all? Mr. Henry sneered, attentively listening to the girl. I need to find out where Kevin is right now, and not the circumstances of how you two met. Perhaps you know his acquaintances or friends. No, the girl said firmly. She didn't even know why she decided to remain silent about Michael. Perhaps an inner voice told her not to be too open with this person. The initial shock of what she heard had worn off, and regardless of everything, she knew Kevin better than Mr. Henry. And even if he was involved in criminal activities, it wasn't a reason to betray him. Kevin hadn't done anything wrong to Pamela. On the contrary, he had helped her in many ways. If he was guilty of something, let the investigation deal with it without her assistance. I see. Well, it seems our conversation didn't yield much, Pamela. Too bad. So, do you pay for your apartment using your means, or does a nurse's salary allow you to live in luxury? Kevin rented the apartment. Do you find that illegal too? The girl asked with sarcasm.
Oh no.
Of course not. I'm just wondering where you'll go to live once the lease expires. After all, Kevin left you, the man smirked. Don't worry, I won't end up on the streets. Can I go now? I need to work. Yes, yes.
Goodbye,
The investigator said, giving the girl a skeptical look. Her mood had completely disappeared. She was angry with herself, with Kevin. Regardless, he could have at least called. To tell her that he was abandoning her to fate. That she was only useful to him for selfish reasons and meant nothing to him. After finishing her morning shift, Pamela returned home in a gloomy mood. Seeing Michael near the entrance, she couldn't believe her eyes. The man waved cheerfully as he headed towards her. Michael. Finally. She exclaimed. What about Kevin? Is it true that he's a thief? The head of some criminal group? What? Michael burst into laughter. Who told you such nonsense? Mr. Henry, the investigator, he told me just yesterday. Pamela, I asked you not to have anything to do with that man. He's not an investigator. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. Moreover, there's information that he's directly involved in the sale of your apartment. I was really surprised when I found out that they had to release Gina. It turns out your stepmother has influential protectors. Michael, you and Kevin disappeared. What was I supposed to think? Why didn't he call even once? The girl asked reproachfully. Well, there must have been reasons for that. Kevin will explain everything himself when you meet him. Did he come? Pamela asked hopefully. The girl missed Kevin immensely. He was kind, brave, and sensible. With him, everything felt calm and warm, and without him, she felt lonely and unsure. No, I came here at Kevin's request. I came for you. Michael said confidently. Understand, the game has gone too far. It's not safe for you to stay in this city. Why? I haven't done anything wrong to anyone. Well, there are a few reasons. First of all, you're seeking punishment for Gina and the return of your property. But, as I've mentioned before, people from law enforcement agencies are involved in this mess. You understand what awaits them if they're exposed, right? They couldn't have anticipated that someone as influential as Kevin would come to your aid, and right now, he's in a war with his former associate. You know he survived an assassination attempt. Kevin even had to send his parents out of the country. His enemy is trying to exert any influence on him because there's a lot of money and freedom at stake. If Kevin can prove that his co-owner ordered the hit on him, that person will be put away for a long time. And he will prove it. He already has enough evidence. That's why he stopped contacting you and didn't even call. He was afraid his associate might reach you. Now do you understand why he hasn't shown up all this time? Not entirely, but some pieces are falling into place. All right. I'll try to get time off work. Although I'm not sure they'll let me. Pamela, what work? Right now, more important matters are at hand. Don't tell anyone you're leaving. Pack your things, we need to leave in an hour. I'm sorry, but I don't have time for persuasion. If you refuse to go, we won't be able to help you. I'm going. Pamela said firmly, weighing all the pros and cons. She loved Kevin and was more inclined to trust him than the investigator. Mr. Henry hadn't inspired any confidence from the start, and if what Michael was saying was true, then the investigator was someone to be feared altogether. Pamela. Finally, I've missed you and been so worried. Kevin smiled, embracing his girlfriend. I've missed you too. And you worried for no reason. Who needs me? Don't say that. Things are really intense here. I had to lay low and solve problems. I even had to send my parents away to feel safe. I'm sorry I couldn't keep my promise and come back in a month. I didn't think my enemy would turn out to be this powerful. You're talking about your associate? Yes. I never imagined that John would cause me so much trouble. I thought I knew that man inside out, but it turned out to be the opposite. Well, that's how it goes sometimes. I also didn't think my stepmother would be capable of leaving me on the streets. Is this your home? The girl glanced at the neat two-story cottage. No. Michael kindly offered me his place. We'll be living here for now. It's safer. Well, I don't know. I rushed off from work without warning anyone. It's quite inconvenient. Call them then. Say you had to leave urgently but don't explain anything else. Okay, the girl nodded in agreement. We have evidence against investigator Mr. Henry. As soon as I'm done dealing with my associate, I'll get on that. I had a feeling back then that he shouldn't be trusted. Oh, I've lost hope of getting my property back already. I never thought it would be so complicated. You'd think everything's there. Proof that I didn't sell the apartment, but there's nothing that can be done about it. Don't worry. We'll prove everything. Her boyfriend reassured her. Throughout the next week, the girl stayed at Michael's house. Kevin and his friend left in the morning and returned late in the evening. Pamela understood that there was no other option, so she had to patiently wait. Besides Kevin and Michael, she had no friends. Pamela had fully trusted this man, hoping he wouldn't deceive her. Kevin's gaze held so much kindness and warmth that it was impossible not to trust him. That evening, Pamela didn't move from the window. For some reason, she felt anxious. Maybe because Kevin hadn't called even once throughout the day. Usually, he called her at least once during the day, checking what Pamela was up to and if she was bored. She glanced at the clock, it was well past midnight. Being alone in this huge house in the middle of the night was terrifying. Hearing the sound of an approaching car, Pamela quickly went downstairs, and a few minutes later, someone rang the doorbell. Pamela knew that both Kevin and Michael had their own keys. They could open the gates and the front door themselves. Moreover, Kevin had strictly forbidden her from even approaching the gates. Not that she could open the door for anyone. Maybe his mobile phone died and he doesn't have his keys? The girl speculated as she stepped out of the house. Who's there? She shouted at the tall gates. Kevin, is that you? Pamela, it's not Kevin. He sent me to get you. He and Michael ran into some trouble and couldn't come themselves. The girl listened carefully to the unfamiliar voice. And who are you? I'm his friend. Pamela, we can't waste a moment, hurry up, the stranger impatiently repeated. She opened the gate and saw a middle-aged, respectable-looking man and breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't look like a thug, and he had come alone. What happened to Kevin? Pamela asked anxiously. Yes, everything's fine, but it's dangerous for you to stay here. Let's go, Kevin is waiting. I just need to put on my jacket and lock the door, Pamela said eagerly. During the entire drive, Kevin's comrade remained silent. Pamela didn't understand what had happened, but she was glad that Kevin had made contact. Is it going to take us much longer? She impatiently asked the driver. No. We'll be there soon, the man said, glancing at the passenger in the rearview mirror. Catching the cold gaze of the stranger, Pamela fell silent. For some reason, she felt uncomfortable. At one point, she regretted going with an unfamiliar person in the middle of the night, to an unknown destination. We've arrived, he said loudly. Get out. Pamela saw a slightly crooked, old house with a dimly lit night light. Looking around, she realized that the house was secluded. Everything around it was dark. There were no residential buildings nearby. Where have we arrived? Pamela asked in fear. Where's Kevin? Inside the house. Let's go. As the girl suspected, she had walked into a trap. In the house sat a massive man by the old stove, silently adding firewood to the flames. You'll stay here for a while. I think Kevin will become more talkative once he finds out that you're in my hands, the stranger said with a smirk. You're John. Kevin's friend and associate. Am I right? Pamela guessed, tears welling up in her eyes. Yes, a former friend and associate. Don't be afraid. If you don't do anything foolish, everything will be fine with you, the man sneered, a malevolent glint in his eyes that sent shivers down Pamela's spine. You're mistaken. Kevin and I hardly know each other. I don't think it's a good idea to blackmail him using me. We're nobody to each other, she admitted in a trembling voice. Well, you're wrong about that. John grinned. I know my partner very well. He's a true gentleman and would never allow such a pretty girl to suffer because of him. Go into the room and don't even think about running away. You won't succeed. The man opened the door to a small room and pushed Pamela inside. Sitting on the old iron bed, she burst into tears. She couldn't forgive herself for making such a blunder. She had fallen into John's trap so easily, causing a heap of additional problems for Kevin. Upon arriving at the house, Kevin immediately sensed something was wrong. Pamela usually never turned off the lights downstairs, even when she went to bed. Surveying the dark windows of the house, he couldn't even bring himself to consider that something might have happened to her. Hurrying into the house, he headed to the bedroom and, as he feared, Pamela wasn't there. After searching the entire house, he was filled with despair. He was left alone with his problems. Michael wasn't in town, he had gone on a business trip. What to do? Where to turn? He couldn't fathom. Early in the morning, Kevin's mobile phone rang. He usually didn't answer calls from unknown numbers, but thinking it might be Pamela, he picked up the phone. I'm listening. He nervously said. Well, hello, Kevin. John smirked. I'm calling about Pamela. A very lovely girl. Frankly, I envy you again and for a lifetime. Explain this to me. Why do you always have the best of everything? Where's Pamela? What have you done to her? Kevin hissed into the phone. I wish I had dealt with you as soon as I returned to Washington. Oh, what a shame. Pamela is with me. Her life's worth is your share in the company and dropping all charges against me. Agree, it's not too much compared to a human life. Of course, you can refuse, that's your right. But know this, Pamela's fate is now in your hands, explained John. She's been crying all the time. Waiting for you to free her. All right. No company and no amount of money are worth such sacrifices. Release the girl. I'll fulfill all your demands. Where should I come? How clever of you, John laughed. Do you take me for a fool, huh? Pamela will be with you after all the paperwork is signed. Okay, give me a couple of days, I can't manage that quickly. Fine, I'll wait. I hope you're smart enough not to do anything stupid, John said. Kevin didn't have time to respond, he heard short beeps on the line, cursed, and tossed the phone aside. He needed to take urgent action. He had to figure out within a couple of days where they were hiding Pamela and free her. He least wanted to give his company to an archenemy, who until recently he considered a friend. Unfortunately, there was still no contact with Michael. He was unlikely to manage such a difficult task alone. After spending 2 hours on the phone, Kevin still couldn't reach his friend. Pamela opened her eyes and saw a tiny window with a barred grill in front of her. She cried, remembering what had happened to her the day before. She mentally scolded herself for her reckless actions. If only she hadn't opened the door to John, none of this would have happened. After crying for a bit, she realized that tears wouldn't solve anything. She decided to gather herself and attempt to escape. The surroundings were silent. It felt like she was all alone. Or maybe she was. Perhaps these thugs had locked her in the house, leaving her alone. Approaching the door, Pamela futilely tried to open it. "Hey! Is anyone there? I need a drink and I need to use the bathroom," she yelled loudly. After a couple of minutes, she heard some commotion behind the door. A minute later, the door creaked open, and in the doorway appeared the huge man who had been sitting silently by the stove yesterday. "What are you shouting for? What do you want?" he asked in an annoyed and sleepy voice. He reeked of alcohol from a mile away, and Pamela understood that the man had been drinking all night. Even now, he looked at her with a bleary gaze, swaying in different directions. "I need to use the bathroom. And anyway, are you planning to starve me?" she asked discontentedly. "Let's go," the big guy nodded, tossing a greasy shirt to Pamela. "There's an outhouse in the yard. You don't have to worry. I'll manage on my own." "Found yourself a fool, huh?" the man chuckled. "Let's go, lead the way." Pamela understood that escaping wouldn't be that easy. As she went into the yard, her spirits plummeted. All around were open fields, and in the distance, she could see a forest. There was no sign of any living soul nearby. "Can I sit by the stove for a while?" she asked, returning to the house. She wanted to take a good look around. She really didn't want to go back to the small room that resembled a prison cell. "Well, sit," the guard allowed. "You can have lunch too." The big guy brought her a piece of bread with sausage and sat down across from her, a bottle of alcohol in hand. "Need something to warm you up?" he sniggered in a disgusting manner. "No." Pamela shook her head. "Thanks for lunch. I'll go back to my room." Pamela felt uneasy when she saw him downing alcohol as if it were water. She'd rather sit in her small room alone than in the company of such a psychopath. Towards evening, she heard loud music behind the door. The big guy started by singing songs, then moved on to swearing. Initially, Pamela thought someone had come. But upon listening carefully, she realized he was talking to himself. After half an hour, everything fell silent, with only the sound of a radio echoing through the house. Approaching the door, she heard loud snoring and realized her guard was sound asleep. Pamela tried to open the door, but unfortunately, it was locked with a secure latch. Trying the door, she tugged at the thin, rusty grill, but she didn't have the strength to break the metal, even though it wobbled a bit in her hands. In desperation, she grabbed a small stool. She knew that now was her chance. John could arrive at any moment, and who knew if she'd have another opportunity. Gathering her courage, Pamela swung the stool with all her might at the grill. The old metal couldn't withstand the force, and with a screech, the grill fell to the ground. The glass in the old window shattered too. Without waiting for the guard to wake up due to the commotion, Pamela leaped out through the narrow window and ran as fast as she could towards the forest. When she reached the sparse trees, she stopped to catch her breath. It was only now that she realized she was standing barefoot in just socks. Darkness was quickly falling outside. Pamela was freezing, shivering from cold and fear, but she needed to get to the road as soon as possible to make her way to Washington. For over 2 hours, Pamela wandered through the woods. At the beginning of her journey, she heard the noise from the road and headed in that direction, but apparently, she lost her way. It had long been dark outside, an icy wind was blowing, and Pamela walked barefoot, not feeling her cold-numbed feet. She had almost given up hope of getting out of the woods when she noticed a faint light in the distance. She walked faster, hoping she would finally reach the road. As she got closer, she realized she had come to a house that apparently belonged to a forester. Timidly tapping on the window, she waited by the door. An elderly woman came out of the house. "Hello," Pamela said. "Please help me. I've lost my way." "And where are you headed in the middle of the night, dear, and in such a state? Who are you running from?" The elderly woman squinted her eyes. "I'll explain everything. Can I come in?" "I'm very cold," Pamela asked. "Come in," the woman allowed, looking around. "I'll make some tea. We'll warm you up. I'm Ms. Martha." "And who are you?" "I'm Pamela. I urgently need to get to Washington. I heard the sound of cars near the entrance to the woods. I tried to go towards the noise, but I got lost." "Really? To Washington? That's about 150 kilometers from here. How do you plan on getting there in this condition? Did someone bring you to the woods?" Ms. Martha inquired. "No. I was running away from bad people, but it's a long story. In short, I was brought here under false pretenses. They wanted to blackmail my good friend using me. My goodness. What's the world coming to? These are such times that it's scary to even go outside." The woman lamented. "Are you living here alone?" "My husband, Ronald, works as a forester. He should be back soon. Stay with us tonight, and tomorrow he'll take you to the bus stop. You'll catch a bus and get to Washington in a few hours." "But how are you going to travel in such a state?" the woman asked, looking at the barefoot girl. "I don't know." Pamela shrugged. "I didn't have a chance to grab my boots. I had to run as I was." "All right. We'll figure something out. I have rubber boots. It's better to wear them than go in socks." "Thank you. I'll make sure to repay you when I can," she promised. At that moment, the sound of an approaching car could be heard, and Pamela anxiously looked at the woman. "Who is that?" "Ronald's back." "Don't worry," the woman said, peering out of the window. A gloomy, sturdy man entered the house, and upon seeing Pamela, he gave his wife a questioning look. The girl lost her way. "It's a good thing she came to us," Martha explained. "Are they looking for you all over the place?" the forester asked. "Who?" "Some well-off folks in a jeep. I guess they stopped by the hunting lodge." "Did you do something?" "No. She was running from those gangsters," Martha intervened. "It's becoming so scary to live around here, Ronald. Bandits are everywhere." "Should I leave then?" Pamela asked uncertainly. "They could come here too." "They can't. I talked to them 20 minutes ago. I told them I hadn't seen anyone. They think you went towards the highway, so they sped off that way. Stay here. Once things settle down, I'll take you to the road. It's not safe to go there right now. Maybe you have a phone I could use? I need to make an urgent call." "We have a phone, but there's no signal." "So, you won't be able to call," Martha explained. John paced nervously around the house. He couldn't believe the girl had managed to slip away from them so cleverly. "How could you let her go? When are you going to sober up?" he shouted at the disheartened guard.
Yeah.
"How could I have thought she'd break the window? She seemed so quiet and defenseless. I even told them we should lock her up in the cellar. And now I'm to blame too," the man tried to justify himself, clutching his head. "All right. We'll deal with you later. We need to call Kevin urgently. I don't think she'll make it to Washington by morning. We still have a bit of time." "Yes, she won't make it at all," the guard confidently stated. "Just think about it, barefoot, in just a coat, she'll vanish somewhere in the fields. So, don't worry about that. You know too much, smart guy. Shut up. You're useless." Nothing but trouble from you. Taking the phone, John went outside. The night was pitch dark, but time was running out. He needed to hurry Kevin along. After all, by morning Pamela might already be in Washington. I'm listening, Kevin said sleepily. It's me. John barked. Your girl is desperate to go home, she's crying all the time, she's distraught. And you're sleeping? If a single hair on her head is harmed, I don't know what I'll do to you, Kevin shouted into the phone. From his helplessness. From not being able to help Pamela, he felt like tearing his hair out. Michael was on the scene. He had reached out to his contacts, who were currently tracking where the partner's call was coming from. Listen to me. Plans have changed. I won't wait any longer. I need to leave the country tomorrow. If you want to save your Pamela, I'll be waiting on the M10 highway at the 130 kilometers mark from Washington's side in the morning. Naturally, bring all the documents. But I haven't notarized the papers yet. Where will I find a notary in the middle of the night? Give me until at least the evening. You'll find one. That's not a problem for you. If you're not there by 10 o'clock, unfortunately, Pamela won't have any luck, and it'll all be your fault. John said and hung up. Kevin cursed and threw the phone aside. The noise woke up Michael, who entered the room and asked what had happened. That's it. We're out of time, Kevin said, waving his hands. I need to hand over the documents to him in the morning. What will you do? Michael asked directly. Well, what? I'll give him this damn company. Why ask questions? All right, calm down. Let me get in touch with the guys. I'll find out where the call came from. We still have a little time, Michael said. And after he spoke on the phone and turned it off, he said, the news, unfortunately, isn't reassuring. You couldn't trace it? Kevin guessed. The signal was too weak. The call was made about 150 kilometers away from Washington. I looked at the map. It's this location. The data is approximate. Unfortunately, there's no exact location. They set the meeting somewhere around this area. So, there's hope that Pamela will be there and everything will go smoothly without any incidents, Kevin said. Yes, but we're unlikely to find the girl in this short amount of time. It's not even worth trying. John is determined. He has nothing to lose, and I can't risk Pamela. I'll catch him sooner or later anyway.
Yeah.
You can't do anything to him, Michael replied. If he manages to flee the country, we probably won't catch him. So be it then. We need to leave early to avoid traffic jams. It's better not to be late. I'm really worried about Pamela. Meanwhile, Pamela woke up early in the morning and started getting ready for the journey. Ms. Martha was cooking breakfast on the stove, while Ronald paced nervously around the house. I'll go check the situation, and you stay in the house and don't go anywhere. If everything is fine, I'll take you to the neighboring village, and from there you'll head to Washington. Thank you. I feel so bad about causing you so much trouble, the girl admitted. The main thing is that your pursuers don't find out that you were hiding here. It's better not to mess with such people. So, we won't rush, the man explained. Martha brought rubber boots and a coat to Pamela. Try these on. It's better to travel in this attire than half undressed. I'm very grateful to you. I promise I'll find a way to return your things. Don't worry, nothing serious will happen, even if you don't return them. It's trivial compared to your problems, the elderly woman said. The forester arrived an hour later. He informed them that everything was calm. He also mentioned that yesterday's jeep was parked near the hunting lodge. Therefore, they needed to be extremely cautious. After breakfast, the girl thanked Martha for her help and headed to the car. The woman crossed herself and wished Pamela luck. Only when Pamela was on the road did she breathe a sigh of relief. Throughout the journey, she felt as though John might suddenly appear and forcefully take her back to the hunting lodge. She understood that if she hadn't stumbled upon the forester's house, she would hardly have escaped from that area. As she passed an intersection, Pamela caught sight of a familiar car parked by the roadside. "Stop!" she shouted abruptly to the Forester. "What's wrong?" "I think that's Kevin's car." "Let's go back," she pleaded. The man didn't understand, but he listened to the girl and reversed the car. Pamela carefully looked out the window and confirmed that it was indeed Kevin's car. "It's him!" Pamela exclaimed excitedly. "Hold on. The windows are tinted, and we can't see who's inside the car. I'll get out now, and you keep looking out the window. If it's your friend, you can come out. But if not, hide," the Forester commanded. Ronald parked the car on the opposite side and walked towards Kevin's vehicle. Kevin noticed a stranger approaching him. He didn't get out of the car but rolled down the driver's window. "Kevin!" Pamela shouted joyfully, rushing towards the young man. Kevin and Michael were confused. After all, their original plan was to hand over the documents to the blackmailer first and then retrieve Pamela. "Pamela! How did you end up here?" Kevin quickly got out of the car and hugged Pamela. "Forgive me. Luckily, I managed to escape." "And how did you end up here?" "I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw you." "So you escaped?" Michael glanced around. "Yes, yesterday evening. This is the local Forester. He and his wife helped me a lot." "Get in the car quickly. We need to get out of here," Michael commanded. Pamela thanked Ronald for his help and got into Kevin's car, which immediately sped away. Ronald watched the car for a moment and then hurried to leave as well. "What time is it?" Michael asked nervously. "It's 9 o'clock now. John will be here in an hour," Kevin replied. "Perfect. Then I'm calling the police." "This time, he won't be able to escape," Michael said, relieved. Who could have thought that things would end so successfully? "Pamela. You're amazing. You're a very brave girl. We're lucky that we arrived early and that Pamela noticed us. Otherwise, we would have handed over the documents and that would have been it." "Once again, I'm convinced of how low and despicable my former partner is," Kevin grinned. "Now we'll take Pamela to a safe place and come back. Today, we need to put an end to your accomplice. He's caused you too many problems lately," Michael said, calling for backup on the phone. Pamela couldn't believe her luck. She still couldn't fully comprehend that everything had ended so well. Kevin was by her side, and that was all that mattered. Around him, she felt happy and completely fearless. "Well?" Pamela jumped up from her seat as she saw Kevin entering the cafe. "Everything's better than good," the man said joyfully. "Now my partner won't escape. Considering all his actions, he'll be facing a significant prison sentence. Fortunately, I managed to save the company. Michael is waiting for us at the police station. How are you feeling? Can you give a statement?" "Of course. Are we heading to Washington now?" Pamela clarified. "I assume I'm no longer in danger? Can I go home now? There's no threat from my enemies anymore, but your stepmother and her brother are still around. Let's deal with John first, and then we'll head to your place. There's plenty of work to be done there too. We need to ask Michael to accompany us again." "All right," Pamela agreed. "Let's go. But I need to stop and change clothes first. I don't want to walk around the city looking like this." Kevin had been suggesting for a while that she should leave Gina alone, forget everything, and come live with him. However, Pamela didn't want things to unfold that way. Firstly, she wanted to reclaim her apartment, which had always belonged to her family. And secondly, she didn't want to be tied to Kevin solely because she didn't have her own place. Life is tricky, and who knows what surprises the next moment might bring. A month later, after Kevin had settled all his affairs, he was ready to travel with Pamela. The young couple sat in the train compartment, drinking tea and making plans. "You need to continue your studies," Kevin insisted. "When all this is over, we'll get married right away. And next year, you can enroll in college. I'll have a personal doctor then," Kevin laughed. "What? Maybe we'll even open our own clinic in the future. Dreaming big, aren't you? Pamela laughed. Let's start by sorting out the apartment. You're already aiming for a private clinic. We're young and full of energy. Our whole life is ahead of us. I remember. You've been saying those words to me for months. Also, in a train like this. But back then, you promised that I would find a real prince, Pamela smiled. And you didn't find one? Kevin pretended to be offended. No. You're better than a prince. You're real. She said seriously. And you're real too. Just like the first time I saw you. I immediately thought there aren't many girls like you. You're so genuine, naive, kind, and fair. You believe in miracles. Honestly, I was a bit envious of your future husband back then, and I could never have imagined that I would be the one to have this happiness. The next morning, Pamela and Kevin were in place. They decided to stay in a hotel, and in a couple of days, Michael was supposed to join them. We won't take any action without Michael. He's experienced in this matter, and we might mess things up and ruin everything. All right. I'll take a leave from the hospital for now. I need to visit Ms. Miranda and Mr. Peter. I didn't even get a chance to inform them about our departure, and it would be inconvenient regarding work too, since they've been so kind to me. In the evening, Pamela and Kevin bought a large cake and went to visit Pamela's former neighbors. Pamela. Where have you been? I've been beside myself. I thought Gina had driven you completely crazy, the woman said. Oh, Ms. Miranda. So many events have taken place, but I hope everything will fall into place soon. Pamela smiled. Come to the kitchen. I'll make some tea. It's a pity that Peter is at work. He's very worried about you too. We've had quite the turmoil here. Your apartment was sold again. What? Pamela exclaimed. What on earth is going on? Vivian got scared, it seems, when she found out that the apartment was contested, so she sold it just to be safe. Yes. The situation is getting more complicated by the day, Kevin sighed heavily. Well, it's all right. We have enough evidence. Sooner or later, the court will return the apartment, and I hope everyone involved will be punished. And 2 days later, Michael arrived. At first, he went to the prosecutor's office to see his good friend there and provided all the evidence he had gathered. Thanks, buddy. You could say you've done all the work for us. However, we had to let Gina go. I think now we have all the grounds to apprehend the criminal again. True. There are more than enough grounds for that. Michael nodded in agreement. Although I doubt she's just sitting around waiting for us. We'll find her. It's only a matter of time. Pamela entered Mr. Henry's office. The young investigator was surprised to see her disappearance. He set aside his papers, smiled, and looked at Pamela in an appraising manner. Well, can't believe my eyes. Is something happening again, or did you just remember me? Yes, a lot has happened, but let me start from the beginning. I'm not here alone. You wanted to locate the dangerous criminal and authority figure, Kevin. So, I brought him. And Kevin walked in through the slightly open door. Without asking for permission, he sat down in a chair next to Pamela. The investigator, not understanding what was happening, shifted his bewildered gaze from the girl to the guy and back. Hello, Mr. Henry. Kevin calmly greeted. I heard that you've been wanting to see me. Well, not anymore. The investigation into your case is complete. I have no more questions, the investigator replied curtly. Too bad. But I have a couple of questions for you. Rumors are circulating that you're involved in the attempted murder case against me. And you didn't play a minor role when it came to selling the apartment that belongs to Pamela. What do you say? Kevin smirked. What do you think you're doing? The investigator barked, turning red. Get out of my office, both of you, Mr. Henry glared angrily at Pamela.
Goodbye.
Kevin smiled. Let's go, Pamela. They'll handle things here without us. As they were leaving, the young couple ran into Mr. Steve, who was accompanied by two officers entering the police building. Everything all right? The man asked Kevin. Yes, but he's in a really bad mood. Well, no worries. We'll cheer him up now. Mr. Steve winked. Are they going to arrest Mr. Henry? Pamela was surprised. Of course, and everyone else will follow, including your stepmother. Finally, the investigation is complete. Michael said. I won't be needed to help you anymore. Gina has been apprehended, and with her, all the suspects in the case. So, what should we do now? Kevin asked. You should stay around for a while longer. Your apartment will be returned to Pamela, but I must warn you that it won't be soon. I'm sure the current owners will litigate, and you can understand them. So, it might take years. I advise you to find a good lawyer to handle all the matters, Michael explained. Thank you. That's what we'll do. But we need to get back home. I have a lot of work piled up. And Pamela needs a break from all this mess, Kevin smiled. Michael, how did she manage to pull all this off? Pamela asked. Is it really that simple? Selling an apartment with no one registered in it? No, Pamela. Not simple, but possible. Gina was confident that you wouldn't be able to uncover the truth. Notice how she had people in cahoots with her who wouldn't let you get to the bottom of it. So, you could have gone to Mr. Henry, and then what? He knew in advance that he wouldn't deal with your apartment. Because he got his share. Turns out he was a rotten employee. Unfortunately, sometimes such people end up working in law enforcement. It's fortunate that this scoundrel was exposed in time. The same goes for the head of the housing management. If not for him, your stepmother wouldn't have gotten anywhere from the start. Unfortunately, nowadays, everything, or almost everything, can be bought. And what will happen to them? Pamela inquired. Each will get their deserved sentence. And I'll tell you more, many heads have rolled from their positions. So, all our efforts weren't in vain. The courtroom was filled with people. At first, Pamela didn't want to be present during the trial, but at some point, she felt the need to just look into the eyes of this woman who had lived in her home for many years, whom she had respected once and tried to love as a family member. I've warmed the little snake on your chest. Gina hissed, seeing her stepdaughter. Is this how you're thanking me for feeding and clothing you all these years? Glad you've sent me behind bars? Aunt Gina, I always treated you with respect. Please forgive me, but you had no right to leave me on the streets, Pamela said. Don't justify yourself to her, Kevin whispered. She's still trying to instill guilt in you and play with your feelings. After the verdict was announced, Pamela didn't feel relieved. On one hand, she was glad that the criminals were punished, but on the other, she did feel sorry for her stepmother. What's bothering you? Kevin asked. You'll get your apartment back soon. It's just a matter of time. I don't know. Everything seems fine, but there's an emptiness inside, Pamela said with a sad smile. Several years passed. A distinguished man opened the door to the head physician's office at the perinatal center. His face was hidden behind a huge bouquet of flowers. Hello? Is the most beautiful woman in the world working here? He asked in a deep voice. I'm busy. What do you want? Pamela asked impatiently, not looking up from her papers. That's how it always is. Kevin walked into the room. You can find a moment for everyone else, but not for your beloved spouse. Kevin. Pamela was thrilled. Why didn't you warn me you were coming? And what are the flowers for? Are we going somewhere? Pamela. It just proves once again that we need a vacation. I think you've been working too hard. By the way, today is our wedding anniversary. Oh my goodness. I completely forgot. I'm sorry. And by the way, we have 2 tickets to the seaside. We're flying out tomorrow evening, and there are no refusals. Kevin said seriously. Tomorrow? And what about the kids? The kids are already with their grandparents. You just need to pack your things, and in a day, we'll be swimming in the warm sea. Hooray! Pamela clapped her hands in delight, hugging her beloved. You're the best in the world. Once upon a time, during their first meeting on the train, she compared herself to Cinderella, and Kevin seriously said that such a beautiful girl would definitely find her prince. Little did he know that his words would be prophetic, and he would become her fairy tale prince.